Good afternoon and welcome to Teen Book Tuesday. I'm Lorie and I'm the teen librarian at Manlius Library in Central New York. Today I'm going to tell you about some historical fiction that you can find on Hoopla with your library card and PIN number. We're going to start back in 1349 England during the height of the Black Death, the deadliest plague in human history. A contagion is racing through England. Isabel, our main character, and her family have nowhere to run from this disease. It's killed half of Europe. When the world she knows and loves ends forever, her only weapon is courage. But for the survivors, a new and freer society will emerge, rising from the destruction of the feudal system that enslaved Isabel's family and so many others across England and indeed throughout Europe. This is a powerful historical novel. It's got a fabulous setting. The history is well researched. It's an inspiring story of survival in the face of real-life horror. It may hit too close to home for some these days, but I think for others it will be the perfect historical fiction to get you through. Next, we're moving into the early 1980s in New York City. Michael is a junior in high school. He's content to live in the shadow of his best friends, James and Becky. His brother Connor has just been kicked out of the house for being gay, and Michael figures lying low and running under the radar is the only way he's going to avoid that fate. He spends a lot of his time at the Echo, a dance club, where he can get lost in the music and the dancing and the dry ice fog machine and kind of forget his problems. Then he meets Gabriel, the first person who actually sees him instead of seeing through him. It's a drama, but it's never a melodrama. This is a painful and empowering queer history lesson. It's populated with 1980s references, and as someone who was a teenager during the 1980s, I can attest to the fact that they are authentic. This is not, however, just a gay history. Michael's journey of growth and self-acceptance, with all of its drama and confusion, angst, emotion, raw emotion, is one that most readers can identify with, regardless of their age, their sexuality, or their gender. It's a beautiful story. It's a love letter, really, to New York City, the 1980s, music, and life itself. And finally, today, we're moving into 1906, Blue Moose Lake in the Adirondacks. The book is A Northern Light by Jennifer Donnelly, and it's about 16-year-old Maddie Goki, who is kind of at a crossroads in her life. She's escaped the future temporarily. She's escaped the future planned for her by everyone else, including her family and her fiance. And she is spending her summer as a serving girl at the Glenmore, a very fancy hotel in the Adirondacks. She's a gifted writer, and all she wants to do is write. And she has been accepted to Barnard College in New York City, but she doesn't have the money for that. She's been saving all of the money that she possibly can to go. But she's conflicted, and she feels held back by her responsibilities to her family. She made a promise to her mom 4 years ago before she died that she would take care of her family, and now she kind of feels stuck with that. So she meets hotel guest Grace Brown, who entrusts her with a packet of letters. She asks her to burn them. Of course, Maddie doesn't burn them. And then she disappears. When Grace's drowned body washes up on the shores of the lake, Maddie discovers that the letters that she gave her could solve the mystery. Grace Brown's story is a true one. It was told in Theodore Dreiser's An American Tragedy, and then the film A Place in the Sun. I'm going to read you a little bit of the prologue. When summer comes to the Northwoods, time slows down, and some days it stops altogether. The sky, gray and lowering for much of the year, becomes an ocean of blue, so vast and brilliant you can't help but stop what you're doing, pinning wet sheets to the line maybe, or shucking a bushel of corn on the back steps to stare up at it. Locusts whir in the birches, coaxing you out of the sun and under the boughs, and the heat stills the air heavy and sweet with the scent of balsam. As I stand here on the porch of the Glenmore, the finest hotel on all Big Moose Lake, I tell myself that today, Thursday, July 12th, 1906, is such a day. Time has stopped, and the beauty and calm of this perfect afternoon will never end. The guests up from New York, all in their summer whites, will play croquet on the lawn forever. Old Mrs. Ellis will stay on the porch until the end of time, rapping her cane on the railing for more lemonade. The children of doctors and lawyers from Rome, Utica, Syracuse will always run through the woods, laughing and shrieking, giddy from too much ice cream. I believe these things with all of my heart, for I am good at telling myself lies. Until Ada Bouchard comes out of the doorway and slips her hand into mine, and Mrs. Morrison, the manager's wife, walks right by us, pausing at the top of the steps. At any other time, she'd scorch our ears for standing idle. Now she doesn't even seem to know we're here. Her arms cross over her chest. Her eyes, gray and troubled, fasten on the dock, and the steamer tied alongside it. That's the Zilpha, ain't it, Maddie? Ada whispers. They've been dragging the lake, ain't they? I squeeze her hand. I don't think so. I think they were just looking along the shoreline. Cook says they probably got lost, that couple. Couldn't find their way back in the dark and spent the night under some pines, that's all. I'm scared, Maddie, ain't you? I don't answer her. I'm not scared, not exactly, but I can't explain how I feel. Words fail me sometimes. I have read most everyone in the Webster's International Dictionary of English Language, but I still have trouble making them come when I want them to. Right now, I want a word that describes the feeling you get. A cold, sick feeling deep down inside when you know something is happening that will change you, and you don't want it to, but you can't stop it. And you know, for the very first time, that there will now be a before and an after, a was and a will be, and that you will never again be quite the same person you were. I imagine it's the feeling Eve had as she bit into the apple, or Hamlet when he first saw his father's ghost, or Jesus as a boy, right after someone sat him down and told him his pa wasn't a carpenter after all. What is the word for that feeling? For knowledge and fear and loss all mixed together. Frizdom? Dreadnatiousness? Malbominance? Standing on that porch, under that flawless sky, with bees buzzing lazily in the roses and a cardinal calling from the pines so sweet and clear, I tell myself that Ada is a nervous little hen, always worrying when there's no cause. Nothing bad can happen at the Glenmore, not on a day such as this. And then I see Cook running up from the dock, ashen and breathless, her skirts in her hands, and I know that I am wrong. In A Northern Light, Donnelly uses Maddie's voice to reveal much about poverty and racism and feminism at the turn of the 20th century. She drew on the true case of Grace Brown, as well as stories her own grandmother told while she was growing up in upstate New York. It's perfect for fans of historical fiction and mysteries. Readers will get a taste of how bitter and how sweet ordinary life for ordinary people in the early 1900s could be. I highly recommend this book for all readers. Well, thanks for joining me for this edition of Teen Book Tuesday. My name is Lorie, and I am the teen librarian at Manlius Library. All of the books that you've heard about today can be found on Hoopla and checked out with your library card and PIN number. If you have any questions about that, you can send them to me at lfinger@manliuslibrary.org, or you can drop a line to our help desk at help@manliuslibrary.org. Don't forget to check out the Teen Services blog at manliuslibraryteens.wordpress.com for more information about books to read, suggestions, things to do, and also information about the Teen Summer Reading Program. Registration started yesterday. Get yourself signed up and you can start reading today. Thank you for joining me. You can find me here every Tuesday on the Manlius Library YouTube channel for more suggestions about teen books that you will love. Hope to see you next week.